Hi there. I chose a story for us today called After the Fall by Dan Santat. This story is a fractured fairy tale. Fractured fairy tales are important because they take the typical fairy tale that you're used to. In this case, it would have been Humpty Dumpty. You know, Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. Well, in this case, they tell a different point of view. Point of view is how you see the story or who is telling the story. They change to see it from a different viewpoint or to think about it differently. And I have little Miss Avery here. She's quite a bit busy right now. And she'll be reading her own story next to us and playing with her toys. But I chose the story After the Fall today because there's been a lot of frustration and just a lot of difficulty with having to learn from a distance. And I just wanted to encourage you to think about how you can change your own thinking, to think about, you know what, I feel really knocked down right now, but I'm going to come back at it with a different perspective, a different point of view, a different way of thinking about it, maybe at a later date or a later time after taking a break, maybe the next day, because nothing's ever permanent. You can always change it for the better. But without further ado, let's read After the Fall, the story of how Humpty Dumpty did get back up again. My name is Humpty Dumpty. This was my favorite spot high up on the wall. I know, it's an odd place for an egg to be, but I loved being close to the birds. Then one day I fell. I'm sort of famous for that part. Folks called it the Great Fall, which sounds a little grand. It was just an accident, but it changed my life. Fortunately, all the king's men managed to put me back together again. Well, most of me. There were some parts that couldn't be healed with bandages and glue. I'm thinking this is a personality or a emotional thing that couldn't be put together. After that day, I became afraid of heights. I was so scared that it kept me from enjoying some of my favorite things. You can see they used color to emphasize that he wants the cereal at the top shelves, but he was too afraid of heights. The bland, boring cereals at the bottom are what he went for. Trying to be safe. I walked past the wall every day, and I would think about climbing that ladder again. I really missed the birds and being high above the city, but I could never do it because I knew that accidents can happen. I eventually settled for watching the birds from the ground. It wasn't the same, but it was better than nothing. Then one day, an idea flew by. Making planes was harder than I thought. It was easy to get cuts and scratches, but day after day I kept trying and trying. Until I got it just right. My plane was perfect, and it flew like nothing could stop it. I hadn't felt that happy in a long time. It wasn't the same as being up in the sky with the birds, but it was close enough. Unfortunately, accidents happen. Uh-oh. I'd be predicting what you think happened to this boy's plane, or this egg's plane. They always do. Uh-oh. You can see the egg's plane is flying over the wall. I almost walked away again, but then I thought about all the time I'd spent working on my plane and all the other things I'd missed. I decided I was going to climb that wall. But the higher I got, the more nervous I felt. I didn't want to admit it. I was terrified. I didn't look up. I didn't look down. I just kept climbing, one step at a time. Until I was no longer afraid. Maybe now you won't think of me as that egg who was famous for falling. Hopefully you'll remember me as the egg who got back up. Oh, you can see the eggshells were cracking. And if you're thinking like I'm thinking, eggs are actually young birds. And learned how to fly. So there it is. All along Humpty Dumpty, that egg that was up towards the top of the wall was actually a bird rising to the top. And there he goes. So again, I'm hoping that this story encourages you when you feel knocked down, when you feel like you are frustrated, when you feel like you can't do something, you try it again. You give it time and you go at it with a new plan and a new perspective. We all can learn from mistakes. Mistakes happen, but they're nothing to be afraid of. They are actually how we grow and how we learn. So as we continue doing this distance learning, I just hope that you'll never give up. Never give up. Keep trying each day with something, even if it's just part of something. Every little bit counts. Missing you. Hope you're having a good time at home. Bye.